the Hobby Streakers, stripping down your hobby to its bare plastic. Alright everybody, welcome to the Hobby Streakers. I'm JG, I'm joined today by Liam. We're going to talk about Hobby Streak and hobby in general. So first we're going to start by introducing ourselves a little bit. So if you don't know him, Liam has probably the highest score, well not probably, he has the highest score on Hobby Streak on
Unless
Twitter.
there's somebody hiding somewhere.
Sorry?
Unless there's somebody hiding somewhere.
Yeah, I
not
doubt
on
it.
Twitter. And they're not using if they're not using the hashtag.
But they're still
hiding.
doing their yeah, that could be. So your today is 1,314, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah. I'm JG. I'm only at 100 and 30. Wow, 36. I think today, 37, something like this. So
Catching up.
Yeah. So let's start with that. So why do you have such a high score? I mean, you've been doing the Hobby Streak longer than have been doing the hobby in general. So what got you into the Hobby Streak?
So I was sat there scrolling Instagram one day, and I saw a post from a guy called Mr. Tumnus, who has disappeared off the face of the planet. So he was like, right, I need to motivate me and my mates to do some more hobby. So I'm starting this thing called Hobby Streak. And he's put up a screenshot of the quote-unquote Hobby Streak rules. So
yeah, which you
do half
pinned on your which are pinned on your Twitter.
On my Twitter. So you want to go have a look at that. That's the OG rules, as it were. Although we do take the pirate code approach, in that they're more like guidelines than actual rules.
Yeah, it's more like guidelines. Exactly.
At the end of the day, it's about getting stuff done. As long as you're doing stuff and you're turning your pile of potential into finished, complete, table-ready models, who cares?
So why did you start yours? What model did you want to finish? What army did you want to finish?
I was sat there with the best part of 1,000 points of unpainted but assembled Iron Warriors for Horus Heresy on my desk. So I just started building that army. I've got the first phase of any army project, as people who play big games know, is getting really excited, buying all the models, building them, and then not doing anything. So I was like, right, I need to get these done because I like playing with painted armies, but I also don't like painting. So I need to.
That's a good motivation, and we'll get into. Yeah. We'll get into the topic today that we wanted to talk about, which I think to be the first episode to talk about the Hobby Streak in general. But yeah, that's a good reason to get into it. It's just to motivate yourself and push yourself.
Just to get me to do it. And then I didn't stop.
Until now. Well,
armies deep.
Still today. Yeah, cool. Well, so myself, I mean, I've been. And how long have you been? In the hobby in general? When did you start?
I've been doing Warhammer in some guise or other since about 2006, 7.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been
With
quite a while.
the obligatory periods where you drop out and sort of like keep half an eye on it, but don't actually do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, but I mean, you've been and being in the UK, I guess your GW is the main player
I mean,
there.
Games Workshop HQ is a hour and a half to 2 hours up the motorway for me.
Yeah, so that also helps into getting into that hobby. Yeah, I remember. So that's the thing is like I remember seeing something when I was about that was a while back, in the end of the 90s, and I'm not sure exactly what they were. From what I remember, I believe they were some kind of orcs, and I would guess space marines because I remember like they had guns and stuff. So that would be my take on it. And I saw that in a magazine, and it was one of my friend that had that. And at the time, I thought they were pretty cool.
Fourth edition.
Yep. Go ahead. And so yeah, so I don't know, like, and that was way back in the days, and I didn't do anything with that because I was an army brat. I moved around quite a lot, and then after that, I moved myself quite a lot as well. Once I got into being an adult, which I don't think I'm still am, but anyways, and so yeah, that hobby kind of eluded me for a long time, and it started with actually board games. When I was in the middle of nowhere, the only thing that I could do was to try to pass the time was to actually get some board games going, which I printed myself. And before people get all excited about that, I did buy all the games that I printed. Eventually, when I got back into Civilization, I did buy those games because I thought they were super cool. So I do own all the games that I printed at some point. I mean, I even did some Gasland, and I think that's pretty much what got me into this was I did some Gasland in paper, like paper cards, because you can find online there is some you can find just flat 2D printout of cars that you then fold into, well, just physical little cars. And so I did those. Of course, they didn't have any weapons or anything on them, but it was enough to do a couple of games. And I did some terrain as well with those. So that was pretty fun. And I think that was probably my first game. And I was like that was in like 2000, wow, probably 14 or something like that. And then I got back into the US and I finally started looking at um, painting and hobby in general. And I started with Gundam on this. So I did some Gundam models, which um, was fun. Don't get me wrong. They're super fun. But I realized that I'm like, well, they already painted. The only thing that you can do is weathering. Or you need to reprime them and all this. And I was like, yeah, that's not really what I'm looking for. And then Legion came out. And so I decided to look into that. And I bought myself the Core Legion box, which I still have not painted. Because after that, which is what I'm painting right now, Marvel Crisis Protocol came out also, and that's when I started doing a whole bunch of I've done pretty much all the Marvel that there is so far out. And right now, for those on YouTube, you can see me. I'm painting well, Mr. Deadpool, and so for the people who are listening to the podcast, you can go on YouTube and check us out. We're doing our hobby at the same time. And so yeah, so that's pretty much when I got into painting those guys. And then so you like the game aspect of it, right? The whole
I
battle
like
and
playing.
big yeah. Yeah, so for
Well,
me, yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, it's more the hobby side of like painting and assembly and all this that actually that I prefer.
because it's relaxing to sit down at the end of the day and just make something.
Oh yeah. Well, speaking of making something, so what have you done this past? Well, let's just say this past 2 weeks.
Ooh, 2 weeks. I did. Where's my camera? There we are. Where are we? This guy. This is the store anniversary Games Workshop store anniversary Stormcast model. Got him painted up. Won a competition, and he is now the profile picture of my local Warhammer store for the next week. I what did I do last week? Last week I did a lot of terrain. So I'm subscribed to the Mortal Realms magazine Partwork. So every 4 weeks I get 4 magazines through the post, and they have some tasty Age of Sigmar pictures in. Sorry?
Are they different? Like you said, 4 magazines. So are all 4 of them like different, or?
Yeah. Well, it's technically it's a weekly magazine.
Okay, but they send you like all 4 of them at the same time.
You just get sent 4 at a go.
Cool. Yeah,
we talked about sets were terrain. So did some terrain.
Yeah, we talked about this before. That's something that I believe was not in. Well, is not in the U.S. currently, but you said it was coming. So maybe if there is some U.S. based people in the comments that want to just leave some links or let us know where, if they know when that's coming out, because I think that could be, it's pretty interesting. And so is that for, do you recommend it for beginner painter or more for advanced painter or everybody?
It is somebody completely fresh to the hobby. So it will start you off with a couple of paints and a unit of Stormcast and a unit of Nighthaunt. So this is for Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
Mm-hmm.
And there will be step-by-step painting guides and how to use the paints. And if you get in the subscription, then you will get things like a paint pot and a palette pad and a mold line remover and some clippers.
So, that's cool. That's really nice.
They're all the Games Workshop product. So the standard is of the tools is a bit up and down, but they will do the job.
Oh no, and this is the thing. I mean, like everything that you get into the hobby, you always start you always have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And this was a discussion that we were having on one of the Discord group from the Tabletop Minions about airbrushes and the fact that you buy a pretty cheap one to start with, and then you always end up buying another one, like a more expensive one for finer detail. Well, you have to start somewhere, and so if it does the job, then that's what you really want. At the end of the day.
There's lots of 5 stages painting methods, and you'll get the paints. So some of the issues are just paints. So you you're interested in a Age of Sigmar, then that's the one to do. There is a new 40k one coming, quote unquote, soon, called Imperium. If you're interested in Warhammer 40,000, Games Workshop sci-fi game for those who've been living under a rock.
Well, if you're in this hobby, I mean, I think that
due to
Games
start
Workshop
time around the end of August, so which is when Mortal Realms is due to finish.
But is that going to be, so is it planned in the UK or is it planned worldwide, do you know?
I don't. I think it's just going to be in the UK to start with, and then we'll expand out from there.
So when they're going to start it in the UK, they'll start the other one, the Mortal Realms, back in the US, I guess. That's what they're going to do. Probably. Maybe. Hopefully.
This is the second artwork that they've done in recent times. So they did a 40k one first, and I believe that ended up in the States.
Although, that I need to. I should research it and check and make sure. Yeah. All right. So.
Rather than me just sit here and talk out my butt.
So what else? So what are you painting now?
So at the moment, I am painting.
Are they part of that box as well? That series or?
Yeah. So I'm trying to catch up with the deliveries. I'm currently painting an evocator on Celestial Dracoline. So to translate into normal people speak, Lightning Wizard on Dragon Panther Cat Horse.
That's a weird mix, but okay, cool. All right, that's nice.
Put that up there as well on that camera. Cameras.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. You posted on Twitter.
I'm doing all the red robes on him. So I've got his friend I painted earlier over here in the corner. So I can make sure I paint everything the same. Done my test model. Make sure they match.
Yeah, which is kind of like what you want in an army, I guess. You want all of your character to. So yeah, you have to choose a palette and just go with it. Well, so is that it for? Well, is that it? That's the thing. This is a good example of what the hobby streak is doing. Is like you've done a lot in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. I mean, this project, doing it from the magazine, is sort of a challenge on top of the hobby streak for me to get things painted quickly. So I set myself the deadline of get everything from the last delivery painted before the next delivery turns up.
Oh,
so
okay.
I've got these two and a unit of 5 archers to do. I think people in one of the Facebook groups are starting to get their notifications that their order is being processed. So I think I've got about a week to do 7 models.
Okay, yeah.
I've cut it fine. I'm not quite that.
Well, myself, what have I done the last 2 weeks? Well, quite a lot, yeah. A lot. So, raining hell. I mean, unless again you've lived under a rock, you've seen that Adam, Uncle Adam, and Vince Venturella, they actually came out with a game which is Raining Hell. I got my physical copy of it, is, I have no idea. I've actually cleaned my space, so now I don't know where anything is. And so I started before that to 3D print a lot of the demons, which basically I went with anything that I could find on Thingiverse, My Mini Factory, and so on. Things that would look cool. I did not go with any specific style to start with, and so I think they're now. I've had to redo my printer last week because I messed it up. The FP plates, well, FP film in the vat and everything, and it just got messy, and it took me forever to just change everything and update everything. But anyway, so that was done. So that took me quite a while. Then a lot of printing. I got my new resin, which we were talking about last week, the two of us, but yeah. So I got Chore Tech Fast resin, which I like. I really like. It's more liquid than the previous one that I was using. It definitely is a little bit more flexible to the point where I've broken a lot of the pieces that I've printed before. I mean, a lot of them, just by trying to put them on a base or just trying to prime them or something like this. So I'm really happy that this one seems to be a lot more flexible, but it's still not to the level that I want. So the next step, and I've looked around, and they're saying what you want to do is mix this resin. So 5 to 1. So 5 this resin, 1 the other resin, and the other resin is actually called Chore Tech Tenacious, and it's a very flexible resin, like super flexible. So when you mix it with this one, it just makes it that it's you still get the details and everything, because if you're going too flexible, then you're losing some of the detail when you're printing. And so that's pretty much where I'm at right now. Is I'm thinking about getting a bottle of the other one, except that it's twice the price. So like, all right. Yes, you don't use it. You just use like you will use one of them and 5 of the other one if you do your mix. But it's still $60 something instead of 30. So yeah, that's quite steep. But yeah, I'm thinking about doing that eventually. Right now I'm really happy, but yeah, the latest print that I've got, I mean, you can see like some of the flex. Like you can actually see like an actual, if I see in the camera, like there is flex, and that's really cool. Because that is not something that I could have done with the other one. The other one would have snapped. So there is still some flex. So I think they're already a much better quality than what I had before. So I'm pretty happy about that. So that was a big part of what I did. I tried to finish my Zombicide. So those are, I mean, they've gotten their coat of strong tone, which makes them all shiny, which I hate. So I'm gonna have to definitely varnish all that. And then, so I did some of those. I painted a little bit of Marvel, Marvel new ones. So I got Deadpool and Agent Bob. I got Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Domino and Cable. So those were the latest one that I received. So I scratched my cornea last week also, which didn't help to paint. So, and that was stupid. I mean, I went to turn on a tap between two bushes, and when I turned around, I just poked myself with a bush in the eye. So hurt like hell. So this is also another thing with the hobby streak. You don't have to be painting. And so since my eye was hurting like hell, and there was no way I was going to be able to paint. So what I did was I decided to just go ahead and instead of painting, I assembled. So I assembled Deadpool, I assembled Bob, and I assembled their truck, the taco truck. So there is a taco truck with because Deadpool comic book makes tacos, and so yeah, has a taco truck and all this, I guess. So yeah, so so that's what I done just so that I could do something. Yeah, so it's been, and then like I said, basically a lot of printer, using the printer, a lot of using the printer, which now, and I've been thinking, and I don't know if you've seen some of the posts that Dana Hall has been putting on. Yeah, about her 3D printing. Yeah, about a 3D printing experience. And so this is the thing. No matter what resin you use, and this, like everybody should know this, it does not matter. Even eco-friendly, whatever they want to call it, plant-based and all these things, it does not matter. You have that resin, if it's not cured, it's toxic. And so if you do not cure it, and if you leave it the way it is, and you put it, you will contaminate the landfills. You will contaminate a whole bunch of things. This is why also you never clean anything into the sink. You don't do that. You just don't. Like you have IPA. If you want to get rid of that IPA, my IPA is in a container. I need to put it outside to just let it cure in the sun, let the IPA evaporate, and then you can just
isopropyl alcohol, not
IPA, yeah. And so now, well, because I have a curing station, I used to do it paper towels and all this in the curing station, let it cure in the curing station, remove it, put it in a trash, and I've been doing that, and it's a long process, and it takes forever, and it's annoying. So now what I'm gonna do, and that just arrived today. Well, it arrived yet. No, it arrived yesterday actually. Is I've got some transparent trash bags, small transparent trash bag. And what I want to do is put all my stuff in there, take it off, go back after 30 minutes, shake it around, leave it another 30 minutes, and then once I'm sure that it's cured, then I put it in a trash. But like this, I can do bigger quantity at the same time. And the problem is I used to do sometimes put it in a big container and put it outside, but if there is a little bit of wind, that paper is going to fly off and all these things, and I didn't want that too. And also the dog is going in the yard, and I don't want him to grab any of those. So I figured that doing that with plastic transparent trash bags, basically, would be the solution. I've not tried it out yet, and so I have a
couple of people recommending that. So
yeah, no, and this is why I'm like, yep, that's my plan. So I will see how that goes, and I'll let you know next podcast. I'll let everybody know how that worked. And if you follow me on Twitter, I'll probably just also post it and be like, yeah. So and be like, yeah, that works. So Yeah, it's so that's pretty much everything that I've done. And then today, yeah, like I said, started painting this guy, so Mr. Deadpool, and yeah.
A lot
So
of similar colours going on this week
sorry.
between the both of us. I'm on the red.
Yeah.
Deadpool's
Oh, it's
red.
good.
Slightly more robes on this guy than Deadpool. But
Oh yeah, and mine is so I'm using well, and then you're using Citadel. Are you using contrast right now?
no,
Regular paint.
I'm using the bog standard Mephiston red base paint. Where is it? Good.
Yeah. Well, I'm using Valero Gory Red because I really like it. It always throws me off every time I put it down because I find it purple when I put it down on the model. But then as soon as it dries, it turns this really, really, really deep red, and I really like it. And I've painted Magneto with the same red, and I really like it. I was hesitating between this doing him and doing my devout for my cabal, which is a giant bull horns weird looking demon, which I think is pretty cool. It's the first one I printed. Like when I saw the model, I'm like, all right, that's what I want as a model for my cabal. Alright. Uh, so I'm going back and forth to my computer because I have the 360 view of Mr. Deadpool on the Atomic Mass Game website so that I can see what I paint and what I want to paint. Okay, alright. Because I just want to. Because this is same, and this is it's funny because you would think that you know exactly all the superheroes what they're wearing and their colors and everything. But when you actually get down to it, it's just like where does the red stop? Where the black starts? Where all this thing is like, I don't know. And so yeah, I always found that funny that everybody knows.
Like I've got my tester model up here as a reference. So the same thing. Making sure we're
and there is a lore, right? In there they need to be a certain color, or do you have some wiggle room?
The way I'm painting these is a custom color scheme.
Okay.
So the way Games Workshop like to do their army books is they'll have like a main faction, which is the one that gets represented in most of the artwork. But they will have other art pieces with different factions within that. So for Stormcast Eternals, the sub factions within those are called Storm Hosts. So the gold ones with blue accents that you see in all the official artwork is a storm host called the Hammers of Sigmar, and they're the first storm host. So they're the big important ones that they've got the most in out of all of them. They're the first to be forged, first into the fight, blah 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 blah. So when I was painting these, starting to get these, I decided that I would paint them in the colours of my gaming club.
Okay.
So I'm wearing my gaming club shirt today. So I've got the badge on here. So we're originally based in a town called St Albans, which was a Roman city, and we were in the Royal British Legion. We rented that hall. So when we had to move, we decided that we were the Lost Legion. So we've basically got a Roman shield as our logo, which makes a change from the standard wargaming logos of skulls and dice.
Yeah, true.
But that's blue with gold accents and red ribbons. So these guys are blue with gold armor trim and red as the spot color.
All right, nice.
So hashtag Lost Legion Storm. Excuse me. Hashtag Lost Legion Stormhost.
Okay. So, have you tried anything new this past 2 weeks? Any new paint, new technique, anything like this?
I was going to start weathering some of my terrain, and I was set to start doing that, and then summer hit. I'm in the UK, so summer's about a 2 to 3 week period towards the mid to end of June, and it sort of started about halfway through last week. So it's currently, I believe the technical term is hot as balls in the UK. Yeah. So I've been doing simple things in the evening when it's hot and when it's cool enough that the paint doesn't immediately evaporate off of my palette.
Yeah, no,
I'm using a wet palette. I'm using half of a fully yogurt pot. It's got about 4 or 5 years worth of dried up paint in it.
Yeah, that's nice.
And it works for me.
I discovered those, which are on top of cans of beers and stuff like that. Instead of the kill the fish kind of thing, now it's those. And I've been using them for every time I need to do something that, like any dry brushing or anything like this, or when I just need to do something quick and I don't need to actually use the wet palette, so I try to use that. And, yeah. So me, well, except for the new resin, and I finally did try those sprue cutter from the Army Painter, which works really well. So I was pretty happy about that. So yeah.
A little bit of behind the curtain for our watchers and listeners. This is our second attempt at episode 1.
Yes.
So there might be a few references to when we talked last week, because we tried to do episode 1 last week and the computer said no.
Yeah. The computer refused to record. So, well, I have the recording of me painting, and that's pretty much all I have.
We're just too awesome for the internet. Is my verdict on that. So, if you see us referencing back to stuff, it's because we tried this already.
Yeah. Well, and anyway, well, that's the thing, is like, yeah, it's still something that I did not try at the time. So I did try it this time. So I'm really happy. We talked about this last time also, but the Monument Hobby paintbrush is that I've now been using for, well, 2-3 weeks now. So yeah. I really like those. Yeah, for synthetic brush, they're really nice. I really need to clean my natural airbrush, my Raphael, because I don't have a point anymore. It needs to be thoroughly clean, and I really like it. It's still my go-to because I think it's just awesome. But yeah, no, those Monument Hobby ones are really cool.
I saw on Facebook earlier this week is my local independent store has started stocking Vallejo paints.
That's
So
cool.
I may start branching out into those.
Yeah, that's I really like. Well, most of
I
the paint
start
I have
something,
are yeah.
start a new project, I'll probably go and I'll pick my friend who uses Vallejo paints pretty much exclusively up. I'll drive him over there. We'll have lunch, and then he can teach me the ways of the Vallejo.
Well, so what I discovered for Vallejo, and I think it's different for every paint that you have, but so they work well with so I made a mix. It's so if A1 EW10. So basically, what it is flow aid 1 part, and then distilled water 10 parts. And I've got that in a little bottle. And what I do is I usually put a drop in my wet palette next to whatever I need to use, and I will dip my paintbrush into that in between the paintbrush and the paint, and I use that, and then I use that different wetness basically to if I want to do a glaze or if I want to do just a base coat or something like that. So, and that's pretty much that's been my go-to lately. Oh, and I just paint these. Oh, I just bent these sabers. Ooh, that's not good. Oh, that sucks. And so that's my go-to. That's what I've been doing. And before I was using Flow-Aid, just straight up Flow-Aid, but it'll just you cannot control it as well because the Flow-Aid just makes it too runny, and then it starts pulling into places that you don't want to. And so yeah, so that's pretty much my go-to. Yeah, it's been that. All right, well, so let's talk about the topic of that we wanted to get to today, which is the hobby streak in general and what most people that are been doing the hobby streak have probably seen a couple of times now, even in a week or so of doing this hobby is people get burned out doing the hobby streak, which can be very strange because you would think that it should not be a chore. It should not be something that I have to do my hobby streak. And I understand that some days, yes, it is. Like last time when my eye was hurting like hell because you're like I don't want to paint. I don't want to do that. And then I ended up putting those guys together. And I realized that for a few moments, actually, my eye didn't hurt that much because I was not paying attention to it anymore. I was doing something and I was concentrating, and I think that that's something that you'll find out when you do this. It's most of the time, even if you don't want to do it, as soon as you start, it just relaxes you. And for me, that is the main thing. It just gets me to do something else. It gets me to not think about my day anymore, to not think about work, to not do all these things. Sometimes I do it. Most of the time, I do it after lunch before we put the kids to bed, and so everybody's kind of chilling. watching TV and doing all these things, and a lot of people probably do it while watching TV, which is okay as well. There's a lot of people that listen to podcasts, which is something that um, you know I usually do as well, um, or music or things like this. But it's not. It should be something that you enjoy, and I think it's been a big problem for a lot of people, and a lot of people that drop it. They're like, oh, I've done it for 5 days, 10 days, 50 days, or whatever, and then they just drop it. They're like, okay, yeah, I cannot do that anymore. It's just I'm getting burned out, and this is something that I think they've been getting into this for the wrong reason, or
Mm-hmm.
or they started it for the thing that, like I said, a chore. No, and then definitely, like if that's the case, then they should stop and reevaluate their hobby. Maybe the hobby streak is not for them. And when I started, I didn't know if it was gonna be for me or not. I was like, I'm gonna try, and then probably for the first week, it was like, all right, yeah, let me just like force myself. Okay, I need to go and do this. I need to go and do that. And then quickly it became the, hey, let me get my 30 minutes of just relaxing and doing something with my hands and feeling a sense of accomplishment when I've built a little guy or I've put the base coat on the guy. I mean, look, I'm liking my Deadpool already. It's rough around the edges still, and it's just a basic base coat, but I'm really liking it. And it's just this feeling of accomplishment, I think, is the best way to
Yeah.
describe it.
When I started, back in there, um, I put a half-hour timer on my phone because I don't like painting. I'm just going to get this done. And then as soon as it went beep beep beep, right, tools down, Xbox on. But yeah, over the 3 and a bit years, come more to the I'll just sit here and paint for a bit, just to relax.
Yeah, and then you realize that, yeah, and this is
Sometimes,
funny that you're saying the timer,
sometimes
because I think
takes
that,
like half an hour, 20 minutes or so from sitting down to me starting, just to get in the right headspace to start. But once I start, I'm going. So
yeah, no, and it's funny because like, so this is something that happened also to me is at first I was like, all right, I need to do my 30 minutes, and then it got to the point where I start, and then it's like the alarm goes off, but it's the alarm because it's time to put the kids to bed, and I've been painting for like 2 hours. So and this is the thing, is like when it starts being this, and I think there is a point where you transition
yeah,
from one to the other, where just that transition happens where you're like, all right, I'm just gonna paint, and you get into the zone, and you're like, yeah, and you just don't realize, and the time goes by, and I think a lot of people are doing that, and it's yeah, again, it depends on what you want to do, what's your goal, and if it's just to get an army done, then once you're done your army, well, maybe you should continue and build something else, or you know,
do some
uh,
terrain,
yeah, or maybe
do
just
some
like do
brave
another
board.
army, or yeah, yeah. So, well, speaking of army, so let's talk a little bit about the latest news that's been coming out, which is the Dominion box. I guess it's the talk of the street.
Stop pre-order next week.
Are you gonna pre-order it?
I'm going to try. So this Saturday just gone, there was a load of, I think, Necromunda stuff up for pre-order. So there's a couple of my friends who play Necromunda. I'm not about that, so I had a lie-in and wasn't up at 10 a.m. refreshing the Games Workshop store page. But Games Workshop have changed how their store page operates on pre-order day. So
yeah, I heard something about that to combat scalpers or something.
Yeah. What it used to be was all the pre-orders went live at 10 a.m. local time. So because each of the regions have an allocation of stock. So if everything just went up at 10 a.m. UK time, then the guys in the Philippines and Australia would get deadly shit. Because the UK guys would buy it all. So what happened was 10 o'clock rolled around and people got put into a queue. And they got put into the queue at a random position. And it would start counting them down. I think my friends, when they logged on, they had an estimated wait in their queue of about an hour. And after about 15 minutes, it was down to about 15 minutes. So I'm guessing some people logged on, went, ugh, and then logged off again.
Huh. But, I mean, when they did Curse City...
Yeah.
Because I did that one, of course.
Yeah.
So, and so again, that's the second time we're recording this, but my first ever mini that I bought for GW was Ogroid Thaumaturge, which is going to be my leader from my cabal for Reign in Hell. But after that, GW, and I like the model of Curse City, so I decided to get Curse City, except that, well, it's the fiasco that everybody knows about now. But yeah, so that was my experience, and that's the thing. So everybody was talking about the pre-orders and all this, but I really wanted it, so I was on the website pressing refresh right when they opened the stuff, and I got my copy, I think, pretty easily. So yeah. I don't understand. So what did they change? Like, I don't understand what they changed compared to that. Is it that same process, or
when they've got like super high capacity or high demand stuff? So not last year, I think end of 2019-ish. They or no, when was it? It must have been summer 2019. They launched the Plastic Sisters of Battle set as sort of like a pre-release set ahead of the full range launch. And that went up for pre-order at the same time as one of the limited edition books for the Siege of Terror series, which is something that I was after. So I was on there at just before pre-order time. Because sometimes the pre-orders go up about 5 minutes early. I was like, right, okay, I'll sneak in, grab that.
Like probably 10 minutes before.
Out before the Battle players log on. And everybody logs on to try scalping that. And the store website just it was crashed. Like basically wasn't like completely DDoSed, but it was starting to get DDoSed from everybody trying to buy this box, and I ended up not being able to get the book.
That's
from
nice.
the web store. Well, what I did was I drove up to Warhammer World and I picked it up off the shelf.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there's always that, yeah.
Because I am in a position to be able to do that.
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, and that was the thing. So for Curse City, it was the same thing. When there were all those talk about pre-order and everything, I was like, yeah, let me call my local GameStar, which, oh god damn it, I'm gonna break this. I'm gonna break his sword before the end. And I called them and I'm like, well, so did you order any? And they're like, well, no, because no one came to us that they wanted one. So we never ordered any. And I was like, all right, well, it's okay. But we can get it for you if you wanna. If you don't get it in the pre-order and you wanna, then we can order it for you. And I was like, all right, cool. Except that could not happen because after that it was like, oh yeah, we're not gonna do that anymore. We're not gonna continue, and nobody can order it anymore, and all these things. Yeah, but a lot of people could still find them in stores. I mean, everywhere. You could see pictures on Facebook all over the place. People finding it. So now, well, but if you're in the UK, I mean, you don't get it at the same time that we do here in the US. That's the thing.
Right? They liked everything on the. They like to put everything on the shelf at the same time across the world.
Because last time Church City was at 10 o'clock local time, like Eastern, I think it was Eastern, no, Western, Pacific time it was, like from California.
Yeah.
So it was 10 a.m. California time. Was that the same in the UK, same time?
It's 10 a.m. UK time.
10 a.m. UK time. Yeah.
Well, okay. It's 10 a.m. UK time, and then because you can only have stuff shipped to the UK from the UK store. So whatever you're in, it pre-orders start at 10 o'clock that time.
All right. Well, so how does that change now with the waiting room type thing? What does that?
I imagine that.
Did it work?
Well,
last time they did it?
My friends reported a smooth experience once they got on. So I imagine that they put that out last week in preparation for the Dominion. On Saturday coming, which is going to be rough for their tech guy.
Yeah. Well, if their system, I mean, they need a system that can handle just so many different, like so many people coming in. And I think if
they've probably got some extra server space lined up.
And I'm guessing they've made a lot more than Curse City.
Yeah. This is going to be more comparable to the Indomitus box for the new edition of 40k that came out last summer, which sold out online quickly, and they basically had to stop doing pre-orders for a week so that they could do a print-on-demand run of Indomitus. So everybody was like, how could you not have predicted that the launch box for your most popular game, the new edition of your most popular game, wasn't going to be a thing that people wanted?
Yeah, it's always weird when they do that.
Yeah, at the same time, there's COVID restrictions in their warehouse.
No, of course, no, and I understand that it's been rough for them to produce anything. I mean, and then the Brexit and all this is not helping him as well. So, but yeah, it's
hard stop stuck on the Suez Canal.
Yep.
So
I didn't
they
have to
do all their miniatures in house. They've got a factory on site in Nottingham that they make all the miniatures, but all like the paper stuff gets printed in China. So there's
Yeah.
a lead time on that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see how that turns out. I don't think I'm getting it.
If I look really sad next week,
that's because you missed it.
that's because it's a 2-week pre-order.
Well, they say 2 weeks pre-order, but they know it's gonna be gone that first day anyway. It's like,
yep, absolutely.
It's just 2 weeks ahead of the actual release, not 2 weeks of pre-order. This is just like 1 day pre-order, 2 weeks before. That's pretty much what it's gonna be like.
Mm-hmm.
No, and I understand, and again, like, yeah, it's not. So I'm not a big, big army fan. I'm more skirmish, which is why I love. Rain in Hell is really appealing to me, and things like this. But I can understand that it's the new stuff. And it's funny because I've read a lot of different opinions about the new sculpts. People love it, people hate it. It's really split in the middle. It's pretty funny. Like, some people saying that they look so much better. The Stormcast look much better. Some people think that they don't. The orcs also, like, a lot of people are saying they look more realistic, which is funny for orcs, but they don't look as chunky as they used to, and all this. And so yeah, a lot of people. I mean, it's funny to see how divided everybody is on this, but it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, they're still gonna be sold out. Like, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not worried.
A lot of the people who are complaining about the models and don't like them will probably be ending up buying a box anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, true. No, well, yeah. So me, the thing that I've packed recently is The Witcher. So,
yes.
Yep, the Kickstarter Witcher, Old World, who became the third most funded board game of all time on Kickstarter, behind Kingdom Death Monster and Exploding Kittens. So that's pretty crazy. I was not expecting that. I mean, I was talking to a friend on WhatsApp, and I was like, "Hey, they're already at 2 million after the first day, I think it was." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't think they'll reach more than 4." And I think 4 is really a stretch. Well, I was freaking wrong, because they just reached $8.3 million in funding. And honestly, and this is something that, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, to say the least. Board games with miniatures, and a lot of times, you're like, oh, well, they put minis, but they're just putting minis to put minis and make money, basically. And a lot of games lately, especially, the game itself sucks. I mean, for the board game, or even, they put it as a skirmish game or miniature game or whatever, but it's not. It's a glorified, use the IP to do whatever, and it makes no sense. This time around, and this was why I actually backed it up, is because when they started, the guys that are doing this starting putting videos online on YouTube showing the game, not showing the mini and saying, look at all those pretty miniatures and all this, which they're super cool, by the way. But they actually were showing, this is how you play the game. This is what a campaign looks like. This is what the card management, blah, 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 looks like. This is what this part of it looks like, and so on and so forth. And so I really like the fact that they had enough in there to actually start showing the game itself and not be like, hey, it's The Witcher, back it up. Hey, it's The Witcher, back it up, because that's a lot of people, that's what they're doing. Like, hey, it's that IP, back it up because it's that IP and you like it. And at the end of the day, the game sucks. And so, yeah, so I think it was really cool. And then when they started doing, and I've watched a lot of reviews, previews and reviews from YouTubers and everything online. And they were like, oh yeah, it would be cool if they changed this or if they improved this. And pretty much the first stretch goal that they had was to improve those things. And that was, I thought, was really cool because it just made it so much better right away from the get-go. And so that's why I backed it up. And so now I cannot wait to get it. Those minis are going to be awesome to paint, and the game itself looks really, really cool.
I've found a friend at my club who's going to be taking the orc half of Dominion.
Oh, cool. So yeah, you're gonna get two. Or is it just gonna take your half, or are you gonna have two boxes and just have a giant army?
Well, I think I'm going to get the one box. I'm going to split it with my friend. And if anybody else at the club is like, oh, I got this. And does anybody want the Stormcast half? They might be able to twist my arm.
Yeah. You're fun. So yeah, and I think that's something that and that's something you can do if you're gonna play, if you have a club, or if you're gonna play with, you can just get that done, and I think that's a good way to use the cost. So much is still 125.
Yeah, the prices came out. Some of the third-party retailers were like, right, this is the price that we're getting it for. This is the retail. This is how much we're selling it to you for. Please buy with us. And it's 125. And the rule book on its own is £40. So what I've done with my friend is he doesn't want a rule book, or he doesn't want that copy of the rule book. So I've taken 40 quid off, split it in half, and he's getting 1,000 and something points of the new orcs for, I worked out something like £42. Something like that.
Oh, so there is a £1,000 in there, points in there, huh? Yeah, I wasn't expecting it to be that much.
Some of the words. So there's a load of cards in the box for you to be able to use it straight away. You've got the war scroll cards, like the unit cards for each of the models in the box, and you've got a card with the faction rules for each of the two factions. And part of that has a points breakdown of how many points everything is worth. And I think the orcs get slightly fewer points than the Stormcast, but it's roughly 1,000 points.
Okay.
Which is
That's cool.
a fairly decent size starting force.
Yeah, especially with that new, what is it, 750 points or something like that?
Yeah.
Which is
part
the new
of the
way
new
to play.
part of the new rules is lots of choice of game size. And shorten it down or blow it up as much as you want. I think it goes from there's 500, 750, 1,000, 1,500,
Up to
2,000,
3,000, right? Yeah.
So it's more brackets than there was previously, because second edition you had 1,000, 2,000 points and 3,000 points as the brackets that were quote unquote supported by the rules. And if you did anything else other than that, you were into the murky territories of house rules, making your own stuff up. Which is fine. I've been doing a lot of 500-point introduction games at the club.
Yeah, no, I think for me it's just
find new players for the club while we've been closed in lockdown. Apparently, I'm magic.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, we've been going on for a little bit more than an hour. I hope. Wait. Well, I'm gonna have to reglue that. So yeah, I hope.
You cannot hear us right now. Cross your fingers and hope the recording's saved.
Well, if they see this, then that means that the recording did save. It was going pretty well when I checked, so we're good to go. My Deadpool is going well. It looks a bit red on the picture, but it looks on the camera, but it's not that red. I think it's pretty good. My base code is getting there. Hopefully, well, I'll keep it for next time. I think I'll do other things in between, and I'm just gonna keep one model and keep going on the next stream. All right. Well,
so show my stuff off. Got all the red done on him, and I've started going on the gold.
What blue did you use for the beastie thingy?
Beastie thingy. Contrast athematic blue.
I don't have that one.
What I've done for the finished one, there's the camera, is I've put a slightly thin down coat over the top half as like a second layer of it. So once I've finished like blocking in all the colours on these guys, then I'll put a second like a lighter glaze of that blue over the top of the beasties, just to give it a little bit more something. Cool. I don't know art words.
Depth.
I go on model. Model look good.
You're not painting orcs, dude.
Not yet.
Not yet, yeah. All right, well, so thanks a lot for joining us. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you did some hobby while you painted with us or listened to us or watched us on YouTube. And hopefully, like we said, the recording worked. And this is our first episode. We'll try to do one every other week, and we'll keep painting and keep hobby streaking. Bye.
See you later, guys.
Thank you for spending the time with us. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're following us on YouTube. If you're listening to us on a podcast, please leave a positive review. See you later.